Oh, is he gonna do the lich? Is he gonna do the lich? Is he gonna do the lich? He's gonna do the lich! Hey, welcome to episode 193 of Frenzy Gamer. I'm here with Blake.
Hey.
And Paul.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
Back after 2 weeks, as usual.
Another 2 weeks.
Another 2 week perfect break.
Felt like a short 2 weeks as well.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
was.
this 2 weeks really blew by. Nothing's happened in the last 2 weeks. No consoles have been showcased.
Oh, man, I totally forgot. I haven't even looked at it properly. I totally, forgot. You must be all over that, right?
Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah. Was it good? Well, we should say what we're talking about.
It's not Switch 2.
Yeah.
We're talking about Switch 2. It was fine. There's a lot of negativity about the pricing, and
Oh, yeah.
I get it. And I also think that this is likely to be the new paradigm for game pricing.
What is the price?
The console itself is pretty pricey. It was like $450 US.
US, right.
And then
Is that before or after tariffs?
That was before.
that is currently unknown because who knows? They keep flip-flopping on that.
Yeah.
Very stable government. And they
But for us, that's like, what, 800?
something like that. Yeah.
Bucks.
It's
Probably.
quite expensive. And then their game, the people are really annoyed about the games. The game prices, I think it's like $70 or $80 US.
Oh,
Which
so
is-
that's like 100, what, 20?
121, 140, thereabouts. Yeah.
Games in New Zealand, like the top tier games have been around like 120 for a
Yeah.
while, though.
But that's
so-
like the Call of Duties.
Yeah.
I'm used to that on PlayStation, but that's
Yeah.
on PlayStation.
Yeah, this is probably going to be similar to PlayStation and probably even a little bit more for some games. Like I think they said, I read somewhere that like they're doing a re-release of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom with like souped up graphics and some extra content. And I today, again, I don't know how accurate this is, but somewhere around $90 US,
Right.
which is like 150, 160.
Yeah, that's a bit. That's,
Which is a lot.
Yeah, that's a
too
lot. It
How-
depends on how souped up those graphics are, I guess.
Is it,
Well,
Because if you can
Unreal,
release it, like,
ultra-realistic.
yeah,
yeah, it's gonna look like PlayStation 4. Probably.
It will just.
yeah.
somewhere between PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5.
I think it will just look less aliased. They will just look crisper. I don't think.
I mean, they have a 1080p screen
Yeah.
on the handheld, which is
Okay.
cool. And it's bigger. They've got two sort of new functions on the console, which is the Joy-Con can act as a mouse.
Cool.
Both of them can. So
Wow.
they showed it a game, for example, where you're playing wheelchair basketball,
Yeah.
and you're using both Joy-Cons to like control one wheel at a time, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
That's neat.
yeah, it's interesting. And then they've also got like a built-in microphone, and you can
Oh, yeah.
talk to people,
That's cool.
and you can buy a camera separately. And
Can you get a keyboard?
they haven't shown one.
Mouse and keyboard.
What you're describing exists already.
Not for the Switch.
It's called a phone. No,
Yeah.
no. The pricing thing, I fully understand why people are annoyed and angry and
Yeah.
want them to drop the prices because it's expensive.
Yeah.
I also, like I said, I think this is maybe the new paradigm. I think Nintendo is setting the benchmark. And I think within the next 5 or 10 years, all games will be sort of priced like this because game sales have dropped since COVID.
Really?
Yeah, COVID was a huge bubble. And no one could leave their houses.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
Everyone was buying games.
Yeah.
So a bunch of money was flowed into the games industry. A bunch of studios made a bunch of investments in lots
Right.
of other studios. And
They were like, the good times are never going to end.
right,
The
exactly.
COVID
It's
good
like,
times.
infinite money glitch. Let's do it, guys.
Yeah.
And then everyone went back to work, and game sales plummeted.
Yeah, yeah.
And studios are closing. There's layoffs happening.
Well, when you say plummeted, you mean returned to previous.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
But that was, in an industry that in a capitalist society that expects infinite growth.
Yeah.
That is the worst thing that could possibly happen.
Yeah.
And they and development costs have also ballooned over the last,
Yeah.
over forever,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like I was reading somewhere that, like about 10 or 15 years ago, a AAA game could expect to cost between 10 and 20 million dollars. That was the expectation for a massive AAA game, and now it's like 10 times that.
Yeah.
And costs have to be recouped,
Yeah.
or costs have to drop, and you might see a little bit of both, right? So we're seeing game prices going up. Keep in mind the game prices have kind of been the same since the 90s. It's like a long time for game prices
Yeah.
to stay the same,
Yeah.
especially considering, the reason they have managed to do that is the hardware costs for shipping games have gone down because they've gone digital and they've gone to disc and blah, 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 blah. And game sales have gone up, so there's a larger market, and so there's more profitability for developing a game. But now we're plateauing,
Yeah.
right? So if this is going to be sustained, inflation's still a thing. Game costs are still going up. Hardware is getting more expensive to manufacture and support, with like the power per chip per dollar spent is going. We're seeing power plateauing on some of these chips.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just costs are going up.
Yeah.
Sales are sort of static. So
I thought that sales were going up, but the last time I looked at that might have been a couple years ago.
yeah, I mean, COVID was huge.
Yeah.
For the games industry, and even
There's
if they
also
are
been a
going-
significant amount of inflation since.
Yes, there's been a huge amount of inflation. But even if game sales are going up, I don't think they're going up at the rate that they used to. Like, I remember, when the Nintendo 64 came out, it was crazy to see an ad on TV for a game. Like it was like an event. It was like, did you see that they advertised Zelda?
Yeah.
That's crazy. And now, like, you see billboards, you see
Yeah.
bus ads, you see like cross promotions all over the place.
Yeah.
Mountain Dew has a cross promotion with has had cross promotions with Gatorade or whatever else for 10 years. It's like, or not Gatorade, Call of Duty. What I'm saying, Mountain Dew, Call of Duty.
Doing
I was a little bit confused by that one.
Yeah. We should double your energy intake. No, that is, but so I think that, like, there was this crazy growth over the last 10 or 20 years for the games industry. COVID was sort of the culmination of that, and now we're seeing things starting to sort of stabilize. But so my prediction is that the price we see for Nintendo Switch games, people are saying drop the price, drop the price, drop the price. I would be shocked if they dropped the price, and I would also be shocked if the other consoles did not follow suit in the next 5 or 10 years.
I mean,
Well, I'm somewhat used to paying that on PlayStation already. I
think
just
it's gonna
don't know
be-
that I would pay it for a Nintendo Switch game.
Yeah. Why is that? Why do you see a difference there?
The Switch games I've played have been just like lower, like at least visual quality,
Yeah.
which I think takes less time to achieve. And where I see the sort of Switch kind of games would be the kind of I feel like are more like the indie games that I buy on Steam that are more in the $20 to $30 range.
Yeah. But then you have your Marios and your Zeldas that are huge and look good, right?
Yeah.
And those are the ones that are going to cost more. I mean, you still have plenty of indie games. The Nintendo eShop or whatever is still full of $30 games. And I don't think that's going to change.
It's
We're talking the
top,
AAA.
yeah.
We're talking your flagship titles. And I think those are the ones that are going to be...
I just see them as being lower quality. That might just be my perspective, though.
just on
visually,
Switch
they-
in general.
I mean,
Yeah.
since the Wii, visually, Nintendo games have been lower quality. They have put
Yeah.
more effort towards, like, interface, and I guess in this last couple generations, portability over hardware.
Yeah.
They stepped out of the hardware arms race generations ago. So I think it is fair to say that, like, those games look worse. But the other side of that equation is most of the games being developed for Nintendo consoles since the Wii, or at least not most, but a lot of the games are only for those platforms because of that limitation. Because they have specific mechanical interactions, the Wii remote or or because of the hardware limitations, i.e. the Switch's lower power. They cannot be cross-ported, and as a result, to recoup your cost, it has to cost as much as, if not more than.
And those
Is that a good thing?
Yeah.
I don't think I can. I think no.
and those
To
yeah.
be honest.
But like those are, like you're saying, basically the flagship titles.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
are the 10 poles of the Switch.
Yeah,
And-
you're not going to see a Zelda on a PlayStation.
Yeah. And like prestige, I guess you might say, prestige Mario game being worth like costing what are we saying, like $150?
Yeah, well,
That's pretty high, but it's like you also know you're going to get something that you can't just get the same thing on Steam.
yeah.
You can't just go, oh, I'll just buy it somewhere else. It's like this, and if you
But isn't that going to? Oh,
Put it this way: when Astro Boy came out, and they're like, "This is almost as good as a Mario game," it was a huge deal. Like that, and that was like PlayStation's finally done it. They made a good platformer, and it's like, yeah, Nintendo has been eating good on platformers for a really long time.
yeah.
But yeah, you're right that like that Nintendo games are specifically made for that hardware.
Yeah.
And the other games that you're saying, like on the other consoles and stuff, they're pushing in a different direction.
Yeah,
you know.
they often go to like a PlayStation game will often land on Xbox and PC at this point, and which just means like you can spread the profitability out across, and so the cost it doesn't have to be quite as high.
Easier to sell more units.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think Xbox? I mean, I guess they do. But like, is there a future where Xbox is just a PC?
I would be shocked if we see another Xbox. I think Microsoft might be done making hardware.
Because they released them on the same. You can get Xbox and PC, and
Yeah.
for anyone like us, well, like me, I guess, is just get it on PC because like PC is where I play everything. PC where Steam is. PC was where my everything is.
I would not be shocked if look. I think we probably won't see another Xbox. That's just my speculation. This is based just on sort of how the last generation of Xbox has gone and some of the things that Phil Spencer has said.
Yeah.
But I think that if we do see another Xbox, it might be packaged as a PC for your TV.
Oh yeah.
That's
as
what I think.
basically like this is you can put PC games in it. It is functionally a PC, but we have made it easier for you to hook up to your
I get
TV
it.
and
It's
interact
probably got
with
its own
from your-
interface and
Yeah.
I get you. Yeah.
That would be I would not at all be surprised if that was what the next Xbox was, but I would be surprised if there was another Xbox.
It's also like, to me, it's muddy of what Xbox is the latest.
Oh yeah, they've done a terrible job. Like, it's so funny because PlayStation has been so consistent. It's like PlayStation 2,
I know.
PlayStation 3. Wait for it, PlayStation 4, and then like Xbox is like Xbox One.
Well, Xbox 360.
Yeah, it was 360.
360. Right,
Xbox
you're right.
Xbox
You're right.
360.
This is, see, I'm already getting
Xbox
mixed up.
One.
Xbox One, Xbox One.
I don't know what the
S or X, and now we're what are we even?
SX.
It's Series S and Series X, I think.
And
just-
then
I
and
don't
now,
even
but
know.
it's like Pro. Is Pro a thing now, or is that PlayStation?
PlayStation has Pro.
Yeah,
It was like I had a
mid-generation updates. This is
Yeah.
I kind of hate them because now you're starting to get fractured hardware, with
yeah.
fractured support.
Well, with the
Yeah.
pros, I mean, again, with PlayStation it's easy because there's usually just one Pro version.
and then there's also the Slim.
Sure, there's a Slim.
The Slim's meant
that
to be
also just-
actually equivalent though, whereas the Pro will actually have
better
better
hardware.
hardware.
Yeah.
And with the PlayStation 4 was also I think you needed the Pro to be able to swap the hard drive out, which you could swap for an SSD to get like massive benefits.
I had a real old person moment, and for the first time, I felt for like old people that
Yeah.
don't know anything about gaming consoles. When I like, I think it was like last Christmas, I went to be like, oh, I wonder, maybe I should like splash out and buy my nieces and nephews like an Xbox or something like that. And I started looking at like Xboxes.
Yeah.
And I literally couldn't tell which one was the
latest.
latest one.
Let's go by price.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess go by price, but like why? And then I just gave up. I was like, I'm not even going to get them.
They're gonna get candy this year.
Yeah, I think I can.
They can play outside.
Because you had to read the specs and be like, oh, this one comes with a hard drive, but this one doesn't come with a hard drive. This one's only for streaming. You can only download games. They don't have an actual physical drive.
Yes.
And I'm just like, forget it.
Which on PlayStation is more expensive.
Yeah.
More expensive to download than to get the physical copy.
Is that just because it has a bigger hardware, a bigger hard drive or something?
No, I mean like the copy of the game is cheaper to buy as a disc
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Oh my God.
than to download it.
Yeah. The industry's the economy of the games industry at the moment is all over the place, and it'll be interesting to see how it develops over the next decade or so. Anyway, so the Switch 2.
Yeah.
They announced basically 2 flagship titles, I would say.
Yeah.
That are at launch or around launch.
Oh, yeah.
One is Mario Kart World,
Right. I have seen a little bit of that.
an open world Mario Kart game that
That's pretty
honestly
nice.
looks pretty cool. I'm not really a big Mario Kart player, but this really appeals to me because you're kind of doing like you can do grinds and you can do wall jumps
Wow.
and like also just kind of cool.
Yeah.
It feels very much like. So there was like an open world Sonic game that came out a few years ago.
Oh,
and this feels like
right.
what the Sonic game should have been.
Yeah, yeah.
Where it's like it's speed and racing, but also platforming and
Yep.
exploration. And then also Donkey Kong Bonanza. That's
Oh.
Bananza. Love that name. And that looks to me like Super Mario Odyssey, except destructible environments.
Wow, cool.
So like you can tear out chunks of the ground, you can dig holes.
Yeah.
It's like basically mining, I guess, is sort of the theme. So I don't know. It looks cool. Will I get it on launch? I don't know. The prices are steep. I fully understand the criticism.
Yeah.
I just also think this is likely the future. So that's
how expensive were game consoles in the last generation? Like it's
around about the same price
for
I
us in New Zealand.
I think a PlayStation, maybe a PlayStation 5 is actually closer to $1,000. $850.
Yeah.
But
I think when I got mine.
that was true for the PlayStation 4 as well. Like I think hardware has been pretty stable for the last 2 or 3 generations. It's just games that are starting to creep up.
Yeah.
And that's because most of the time, hardware manufacturers, this is not true for Nintendo. Nintendo always turns a profit on their hardware.
Yeah.
But Xbox and PlayStation usually sell at a loss initially because they make their money back on game licensing.
Yeah.
That often like they have a break-even point of like 5 or 6 or 7 games over the console's lifetime. If a user buys that many games, they make their money back and they turn profitable.
Oh. Interesting.
Yep. Anyway, you guys been playing games? Oh, should we answer some questions
Oh
first?
yeah, we got a few questions.
We usually do. So it's only been 2 weeks, so we shouldn't have that many, right?
We actually don't. I kind of
This is from I'll read out just this from Ongale. It seems you kind of enjoyed the game recommended by me. I'm glad. I last played Noita in 2021. It was great getting reminded about all the cool stuff there. To be honest, I'm kind of tempted to give it another try. I don't think I ever got to Parallel Worlds myself. Question. I recall you talked about Animal Well a couple weeks ago, right? Yeah, it must have been only 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Did you actually go deep into the secrets and complete most of it? I played it recently, just put 10 hours into it, got to the end credits, and barely touched the secrets. While I keep complaining about secrets in Elden Ring, I think Animal Well is much worse in that regard. Secrets are the core of the game, and they are at least as hidden / unintuitive as ones in Elden Ring, if not more. I could have just followed Wiki to unlock everything, but what's the point then? I did not finish Animal Well. That I got it maybe a couple days before my son was born,
Oh.
and so I have not really returned to it. I think I did 1 or 2 of like the 4 animal things you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's lots of secrets. There's eggs. You find eggs, and the more eggs you find, the more secrets you unlock. And the eggs get real weird, and apparently they get very, very difficult to find. Some of them, some of them took like a community effort to find.
Interesting.
I think
Bit Dark Souls, eh?
no. Well, you know what? Maybe I don't know because I haven't found them. But I would say that there is a difference between, again, locking off a whole ass area of the game behind an unintuitive mechanic and stretch goals. which is what I think. I would view these secrets as stretch goals.
I see.
You can beat the game. You can enjoy the game. If you then want to do stretch goals, it's like Final Fantasy IX had a thing where to get the best weapon for Steiner, which is like the knight character, you had to get to the last area of the game within, I think it was like 10 hours.
Oh, wow.
And a typical playthrough would be like 30 or 40.
Yeah.
So you had to speed run the game to the end area to get the best weapon for one of the characters.
And then you can be like, finally, I can play the game.
Yeah, right? But the thing is, you can play through that game and have a great time and see 95% of the content without knowing this thing even exists.
I still think that sounds like Elden Ring to me.
Okay, that's fine.
I play that game and enjoy it and not know half of what's going on in that game, and not see
a fraction
of it.
If we want to talk about Elden Ring,
yep.
Should we talk about the monster design in Elden Ring? How cool it is. Like, it's so cool when there's just like a giant silver ball, and that's one of the monsters. Oh, it's so cool, guys! Yep. What awesome!
Pretty great.
Miyazaki is a genius, right? Anyway, I keep saying there's like an area in that game where the monsters are a giant silver sphere and also silver blobs.
I don't think I ever got there.
Didn't get there.
Oh, you didn't beat it?
No, I didn't.
Oh, must be casual gamer.
Yeah.
A couple casual gamers here.
Hey, I enjoyed the game, though.
Yeah,
I had a great time. I had a great time.
I beat it.
Yeah, and you hated it.
I didn't hate it. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I just think people are way...
That's the worst score you could possibly give something.
People ignore so many sort of lazy or silly or dumb things in that game, and they're like, masterful game, perfect game, 9.5 out of 10 or whatever.
Yep.
And I'm like, there's an area where you just fight blobs. And that's all you fight.
The turtle thing.
There's an area where there's little floating electrical sprites that it's never explained. You can't fight back. They just zap you.
Wow. That's a mystery of the world.
It doesn't even make sense in the world. It's in an underground area. There's these little electric moats, and if you get too close, you get zapped.
Oh, weird. Weird.
Yeah, weird is weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a weird world. It's a weird world, man.
I would even say kind of not great.
No, it adds to the flavor of the world.
Okay.
It's just world building.
It's a flavor I don't enjoy.
It's a place where the little electric sprites live.
Okay, sure. It's the fennel of games.
The invisible turtle is one that really gets me.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, that's one that is just like, come on. How is anyone supposed to do that?
How is anyone meant to do most of the quests in that game where NPCs just vanish and then they turn up somewhere else where they die? They die when you're off screen because you've done something.
They tell you some vague thing, and then you're like, what? And then turns out that's a quest and you're supposed to do some whole, like...
It's
a great game, though.
Let's talk about a different game entirely.
Yeah.
We have a couple more questions, but we'll get to them another time because... we'll get to them another time.
Yeah.
Paul, you've been playing something. Let's talk about it.
I've been playing the Bazaar.
Yes. Tell me more. Have we talked about it on here?
You mentioned it, but I don't think we've probably talked
about it. I think we talked about it briefly before the Noita one. Because I just started playing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, I played quite a lot of hours in those 2 weeks.
Yeah, 3
following.
weeks worth of hours in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Man, you love that game.
He's split screening it.
Got 2 accounts going.
Playing against himself. So it is I'll give a quick because I've been playing it too.
Yep.
It is an auto battler.
Yes.
And I think it's starting to ring a bell that we talked a little bit about the structure of the game. Basically,
I don't know if we actually talked about it on the podcast. It might have been beforehand.
Yeah. It is an auto battler where you buy and sell items from stores and vendors, and the items will interact. You can have there's basically 11 inventory slots, I think, on your screen. And some items take up 1 inventory slot, some take up 2, some take up 3.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and they will interact with each other. It'll be like, this gets a boost for every aquatic item you have, or adjacent items get a thing, or it gets a perk for each ammo item you have. So the type of other items you have will interact with each other item. And it's about essentially getting an optimal setup of items to beat your opponent's optimal set of items.
Yep.
Right? And you have health. You level up between rounds based on certain characteristics.
Yeah, there's the 6 encounters that you get before you fight the player.
Yeah. So
And they'll be shops or monster battles.
That's right. So it's usually the structure is you will fight if in a general cycle you'll fight a player, and then you'll have a choice of 3 different things. It could be shops, could be random events, could be eating a bunch of chocolate, whatever else, and then another set of 3 random events, and then a monster fight. But it's a choice of 3 monster fights. You choose one. And then, again, 3 random events, and again, 3 random events, and then a player fight. That right?
Yep.
Yeah. And that's the cycle. And you get an experience point at the end of each of those, and it takes 8 experience points to level up, but you can get bonus experience from various sources. You also get gold, and you spend gold at shops or on events, and you get gold from fighting monsters or players or buying and selling items or various events.
And at the start of the day, based on your
Yes, and you get an income as well. That's right. And then the thing that I really like about this game is that the items are very modular. So unlike most auto battlers where the things you have are kind of static outside of battles. So like, within a battle, things can happen to them. They'll get more powerful, blah, 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 blah. In this game, you can kind of you can enchant them with random effects. You can power up their damage or their shield or their healing, or the amount of burn or poison damage they do, or the length of the freeze or the slow or the haste. And so outside of battles, you can do quite a lot to make your items more powerful or more interactive with each other. And I think that's very, very cool. And it means that you can go into a fight with an opponent and you think on surface level, you might definitely lose because your items are worse, like they're lower quality or they have less synergy or whatever it is. But because of the things you've done between those battles, you might win because it turns out you've boosted them by 50 damage, or you've got an extra tag on there from some source, or they've got an enchant that does some ridiculous thing like freeze your opponent's items every 3 seconds.
There's also 4 tiers of the items as well.
That's right. You can upgrade them from bronze, silver, gold, and diamond.
Diamond. Yep.
And you can get special like legendary items from some of the monster encounters. There's also perks that are basically talents. I don't know what are they called?
Skills.
Skills.
I think they're just skills.
Skills, which are they're separate to your item board. They are just sort of passive boosts that you can do almost anything. They might boost the item on the farthest right's attack. They might cause your items to sell for 1 more gold. They might mean that at the start of every day you get 100 extra health or something crazy. Like it's, and there's just so many different permutations of all these things that can occur that generally every round feels fresh.
Yep.
Currently there are 4 classes, and each class has about 100 to 120 items available to them. But you could also get items from other classes, and you do very regularly through these monster fights and through random events. So again, it feels very flexible. This is sort of a summary of the game, right?
I think that's a good summary.
Yeah. I like a lot of aspects of this game, and then also I think it has a lot of deep flaws.
I would not disagree.
It is really fun and attention grabbing and imagination grabbing for quite a long time at first. And then the more you play it, the more you realize actually most of these classes have like 1 or 2, maybe 3 viable strategies, and with the exception of one of them. I think that there's 4 classes. One, Vanessa is like a piratey, aquatic themed, guns a-blazing character. There's Dooley, who is a robot and has lots of pets and robot mechanics and a lot of self-feedback loop kind of things. There's Pygmalion, who is a buff, I guess, how would you
banker
or property dealer. Yeah. And then there's Mac, who is an immortal alchemist.
Wow. Okay.
And Vanessa is the starting class. You get her for free, and she has, in my opinion, the most variety in terms of her playstyles.
And definitely.
and everyone else has kind of less.
Does that mean is the idea that you've got the start character that can do all these things, but if you want to specialize, you want to go into these other characters or something?
I don't think it was intentional. If I had to speculate, I would say it is a consequence of her being the first character meant she's probably had the most time spent on her.
Right.
And also you have the most design space available to you. So you kind of end up doing a little bit of everything and making sure that it all works.
Yep.
And then you're like, we've got to make more classes.
Yep.
Well, we've already tried all of these things on Vanessa. We have to try and carve out some new design space. And then the more you do that, the less design space there is. And start introducing some real esoteric mechanics.
Yeah.
Or you just kind of end up with more surface level, what they call parasitic design, which is like things that only work within the confines of that class or that mechanic.
Right. Yeah.
And if it shows up on another class, it just doesn't really work.
Yep. Yep. I see.
I would say that.
Or serves a different purpose.
What do you mean by that?
Value stuff on Vanessa, where all the value stuff on Pygmalion's about like scaling, trying to get like massive benefits from all of the value scaling.
Yeah.
Whereas on Vanessa, it's really just about being able to sell it later for more money.
Yes. Yeah, I've never. So what Paul is talking about, Pygmalion, he's like we said, he's like a banker or a property dealer. A lot of his items can be they're tagged as properties. So you might get a gym, or you might get like a snow lodge or like a hot springs or something like that. And they're counted as properties. And some of the properties, there's one called Fixer Upper. It's just like a house.
Yep.
And in battle, it provides shield.
Right.
But the amount of shield it provides is based on the value of the item, so how much it sells for.
Wow.
And Pygmalion has a bunch of different ways to increase the value of items in and out of battle. But generally, you kind of scale these things out of battle.
Yep.
Most of the time.
Yep.
So like, there's an item called Ledger, where when it sits in your stash or in your inventory or whatever else, every time you've sold 10 items, it adds 5 or some amount of value to the adjacent items.
Right.
So you spend a lot of time buying and selling small items to pump up the specific items you've got on the other side of that. And then you throw in your inventory for a fight, and hopefully it's got a bunch of extra value, which means it does a bunch of extra shielding or damage or whatever else. Vanessa has a couple items that gain value from various sources. There's one called Ambergris, where every time you buy an aquatic item, it gets more expensive. And another one's called Pirate Cove, where every time you sell an item, it gets more expensive. I have never seen either of these items used in battle effectively.
Yeah.
Because the scaling is really bad.
Yep.
And the only ways to increase their scaling are through those methods, because Vanessa doesn't have things like Ledger or skills that do things. It is just like, if you bought or sold things, they get a little more expensive.
But both of those items are very good for storing value, so that later when the items get more expensive, you can sell them, and you've been buying and selling stuff this whole time.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, that's a big injection of
a big cash injection, because she does not have a lot of other ways to make money. I say that's actually honestly not true. Now that I think about it, there's a fishing net that catches fish every day. There's a fishing rod that catches a small item every day. There's a shovel that digs up an item every day. So she's got a few item generators, and item generators are functionally gold.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
But these ones are calculatable, and like you have a little bit more control over the buying and selling of them. So Vanessa's a great character. You can play a build where you have one weapon. You can play a build where you have like 11 weapons. You can play a build where you have no weapons. And they're all viable.
Yeah.
You can do ones where you burn your opponent to death, you poison them to death, you just outlast their damage with shielding and healing. Like she's got some.
She sounds like she does it all.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then Pygmalion, you can freeze and burn, and you can buy properties, and like a pump value, and that is almost it, I think.
The pumping value does. I mean, you're effectively looking at like shield builds or heal builds.
Yeah, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, I think so.
And oftentimes, he does not have good ways to scale their value within a fight. So there's
very few items.
Yeah. But generally, you go in with the item you have, and you just hope to outmuscle them, and you can't really scale. Whereas a lot of the Vanessa and Mac and Dooley, the other three characters, have ways to scale the damage of their items within a fight. So if you start off weak, by the end you can just overpower. It is a... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it is worth pointing out that I'm not 100% sure about the current patch, but at least the previous one, if you got to the later days, all that would be left was really, really strong Pygmalions. Because he could scale far further than any of the others, despite being, like having less options than Vanessa.
I would say that has changed because so Pygmalion, yes, what Paul is saying is right. If there was a patch where Pygmalion would have 80 times the amount of health of
Jesus.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
and you would just be like, well, I guess I lose because I literally can't do the damage to kill him in that time. Or maybe you managed to pull it off and it's crazy. But he can sort of come in with crazy boosted stats because of all the stuff he can do between fights.
Yeah, I see.
In the most recent patch, they added a new hero called Mac, and Mac is very strong. He is the Immortal Alchemist. He has like a potion build that's really ridiculous, but also kind of brainless. He has a slow build, which is ridiculous and also kind of brainless. And he has like a weapon build, which is ridiculous and also kind of brainless. And oftentimes it's contingent on a specific item, which is not true for Vanessa.
Yeah.
Vanessa, you can run a single weapon build with like 4 or 5 different kinds of single weapon, and for a bunch of other kinds of enablers. Mac does not feel like that. Mac feels like you get the poison meadow or whatever, and you run a bunch of weapons and you win. Or you get the recycler with the potions and you run a bunch of potions and you win.
Yep.
And
Yeah, I only played him twice, but it felt like I wasn't really making decisions. I was just being handed stuff that was strong, and then I would use the things that were strong. And they did have like obvious synergies.
Yeah.
And maybe too many obvious synergies, so it just was like it was going to work.
It's an interesting, from a design perspective, it's an interesting one because like Vanessa is very flexible, but you think about what you fit in your 11 slots, whereas Mac is not flexible in that if you do not get some of these core items for the specific kind of build you're running, it just doesn't work.
Yep.
You can't really do a potion build without like a couple of specific items that mean that your potions can reload or whatever else. And if you might have 5 excellent potions and you don't get the thing that reloads your potions or recycles them or whatever it is, and it's just like, well, I let out my salvo and then I die.
Yeah.
And that's a flaw in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting game. I like it, but like I said, it's flawed. And also, I think one of the biggest flaws is the way they communicate with their players.
Oh, really?
Yeah, actually atrocious.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Hey, so they have their own launcher,
Oh, okay.
right? And that's awesome, because usually on a launcher, it's like, oh, sweet, I'm downloading the update, I can read through the patch notes. No. You want to go see their patch notes? You have to go to their Discord.
Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The patch won't even say that like the game is down.
Oh my god.
You'll try to launch it and it just won't work.
Oh no, I think it launches, and then you'll try and run a game. Like it'll open up the menu. You'll start a game. You'll try and click on a thing to it'll you start in Vanessa's quarters. Do you want to choose an enchanted item? Yeah, okay. Disconnected.
Wow.
Oh, okay. It must have been my connection. I'll just try again. Disconnected. You can't do it. Oh, why can't I do it? No, I'm not gonna tell you.
That's pretty
go
wild.
check the Discord.
Yeah, that means go check the Discord.
Oh my god, that's bad.
They also communicate like when the patches will be and everything through the Discord. I mean,
that's
so bad.
Yeah,
that's like Discord is like a cool community building thing, but as your core, like
even if it's your core, you have to propagate that information.
Yeah.
If you want to post to Discord first, fine. I get it. It's easy. You cut and paste. And then, for your patcher, you probably have to send something to a server somewhere and roll it out, whatever else. I get if you want to get it out the door fast, Discord's totally fine. You still got to do the other things as well. You
Yeah.
have to, because I don't want to use Discord. I don't want to have to log into their Discord and look at that sucks.
It especially sucks as I'm about, like, I currently want to play this game.
Yeah.
I want to play it now.
Yeah.
The optimal strategy shouldn't be go check the Discord first to see if I can.
Right. And they have, so they haven't launched on mobile phones, even though the game is clearly built for mobile.
Yeah.
The UI is so mobile coded. that,
Yep.
Like,
Wow.
when it comes out, it'll be ready to go.
Wow.
But they're planning to do it later this year.
Yeah.
But imagine you've downloaded it on your phone, you log in, and you can't.
You gotta go to your Discord on your phone.
You can't. Yeah, you have to open up a separate app,
Yeah.
then navigate to their server,
Yeah.
then navigate within their server to a specific tab.
Yeah.
Then scroll to make sure you've got the right patch notes or their
Yeah.
server update or whatever else, and then find out. Oh yeah, I can't play for another 4 hours. Oh, by the way, the time is posted in EST, so I don't even. I have to do the math to figure out when I can actually play it.
The Discord one uses local time thing. The local time tag.
I don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a tag you can use in Discord when you
Okay.
type times that
Sure.
will
Oh, neat.
translate it to your local time.
All right. Well, there you go. I guess problem solved.
They got one small win out of the Discord thing.
Yep.
But on top of that, when they first so they went from closed beta to open beta, and that's when I started playing. Paul was like, "You should try this out," and I said, "Okay, sure." And I started playing when they went to open beta. And right around that time, there was a whole bunch of hubbub, presumably on their Discord and their Reddit. I wasn't really involved with the communities, and I still not because I refuse to. About their payment model.
Oh, yeah.
People were pissed. I still don't fully understand what about, but I do know
Yeah.
that they're like studio lead or game. I don't. What is Reynad? What is his title?
I don't even really know. He's just like that guy,
He's
right?
like the boss, right?
Yeah.
So listeners might recognize the name Reynad if they've played Hearthstone or were part of like the early days of Hearthstone community.
Oh, right.
He was like a pro player,
Yeah.
and like a streamer, and he, I guess, was like, this game is stupid. I'm gonna start my own game with blackjack and pirates, and and he did it, and this is it. It's called the Bazaar. The problem is that dude has such a shit personality.
Oh, no.
Pardon my language, but man, he is a bummer.
Wow.
And so people were angry with like the payment model or whatever, and he's like, you know what? The more I see people raging on Reddit and Discord, the more I know I'm right.
Oh, my God.
And like he was like guilt tripping players.
Yeah.
Like, people would be like, you said all this stuff years ago, and he's like, that's right, and I stuck to my guns. And it's like, no, but you didn't. This is all the opposite of what you said. And he's like, no, I've been incredibly consistent over the years. He's just what a terrible ambassador.
Sounds like a Twitter argue.
Yeah,
guy.
it is. It's weird because it's like you are in charge of the company and you're posting like a disgruntled ex-employee, but you're the boss, and it's just gross.
That's interesting.
And the crux of the problem there was quite bad. He had been saying for years that there would be no pay to win elements.
Oh, yeah.
And then when they went into release, they started selling a battle pass. And buying the battle pass gave you an expansion.
Extra items available to your hero, basically.
Yeah, like extra cards, items
Yeah.
that were not available without spending the money.
I see.
But they were going to become available a month later.
Yeah.
So their argument
okay.
was it's not pay to win
You can just wait.
in a month.
Yeah.
But then in a month,
Yeah.
The next
The
battle
next
pass
thing
comes
will be
out
out.
with more
Yeah,
items.
I mean,
and
is that
people had been buying the game to get early access based on this promise that there would never be anything pay to win about it.
Yep.
And I remember seeing a post because I did start doing a little bit of digging down into this, and he was at some point he said, "There's no collecting. You get everything when you get the game. You get everything."
Yeah.
But the truth is, there is collecting. You just have to buy the battle pass or wait a month.
Yeah. Yep.
And part of the problem of this is if you when you add items to the item pool, they are either stronger than the existing items, in which case you are literally paying to win, or they are the same power as or weaker than the existing items, in which case you were paying to lose.
Yeah, in which case, why buy them?
Yes, and now the problem is, it sounds counterintuitive. If they're the same power, it doesn't sound like you'd be losing, but you have less consistency. When you add 10% to an item pool, the odds of you getting the exact 11 item slots for your build goes down.
Yep.
And so you are penalizing yourself if you get this battle pass. So there is an incentive for the company to make sure those items are stronger. And that was the case. On launch, those items were so strong that they had to nerf them within a day.
Oh my god.
So you buy the battle pass because you've seen how strong these items are, and then they pull the rug.
I was gonna say like maybe he didn't because some different people have different perspectives of what pay to win is. But
Sure.
it sounds to me.
Regardless of what your perspective is, if you're in charge of the company, you go, I hear you. We're going to look into it.
Oh,
We're going to
yeah,
see,
sure.
make sure.
Yeah.
What you don't say is, these Reddit crybabies are stupid and I hate them.
Yeah, I mean that aside, yes.
And like they did go and change it. The next month, the battle pass is free. You can pay money to get
Accelerate
double
your progress.
XP,
Yeah.
so
That's
you can
still-
progress faster.
Yeah, that's
if
still pay
you're
to win.
It is absolutely.
It is.
Because
It is
the
for-
item sets are
Double
now
it.
unlocked along the way through
Yeah.
the battle pass.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
How does it justify? How does it justify
I think
that
it is
thing?
far less bad though.
It is less bad.
But in
this-
his mind, what is pay to win?
doesn't matter.
If this is
Some
okay to
amorphous
him,
thing that doesn't exist in
Yeah.
reality.
because
Yeah.
I've seen people argue that Path of Exile with the stash tabs is
It's
pay to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is more egregious than
Yeah, this is like if what you're getting is literally just more power, like more actual power to win, then that is 100% pay to win.
Yeah.
It is not Diablo Immortal Legendary Gemstones. It is
Yeah.
not that. But
Yeah.
it is also not stash tabs.
Maybe that's-
it is
yeah.
it is somewhere between those two things.
And also, like I think it was Super Auto Pets that just made it so that if you buy certain packs, you play again. Like when you choose to start playing, you choose which pack you want to play with, and you just play against people matched with the same
Oh,
things. So
Yeah.
if you've got particular expansion, you play against those people.
oh yeah.
Then Super Auto Bits also does a weekly thing, which is like you can play it for
Yeah.
free, and they just put like a random limited set of things that are available this week.
It's interesting because I've been playing the Bazaar, and in the most recent patch, they added a bunch of items for all the classes, including the robot dually got a bunch of bug items, basically like little robotic insect friends.
Yep.
And I had not seen any of them until like 3 or 4 days ago when I started seeing a lot of them.
Oh,
And that is because for most players, they're if you are subscribed, you get double experience on your play pass, which means you progress through the levels faster.
Yeah, I
and
see.
When you hit level 15, you get Dooley's item expansion.
right.
And I have only just reached like level 12 or 13 or something like that. But people who had doubled their experience, they hit level 15 within a few days,
See, yeah,
but not immediately.
yeah.
So you can see almost while you're playing, oh, this guy's subscribed because he has all these items that I cannot get access to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It's interesting and
Yeah.
kind of gross, but also like I get it. You have to monetize your game somehow.
Yes,
I feel like
you
it
do.
is
Way
yeah,
easier
but-
ways, way
The
less.
thing is, they already have another way of monetizing it, and they're doing it, which is cosmetics. You can buy item skins. Your heroes look different. Your items look different. Your backgrounds look different. Your there's so many little parts of the game that are customizable that they have supported, and that they are actively right now selling for money. And then they've also done this separate other thing, which is heroes get extra items. Now, part of the problem is this cannot be sustainable. If you are adding 10 items for every hero every month, within a year you have more than doubled the base pool of items. That means you cannot get like a consistent build. You just can't. In a
Yeah.
run, it can't happen. Statistically speaking, it just can't happen.
It's one of the first things you learn in deck builders, right? Is to reduce the number of
Yes.
available cards.
So what does it look like? What are their plans? Do they say, okay, now these things are on rotation? Or is it a case of like before you go in, you can toggle some sets on and off?
So-
Nobody know. What do they know?
you in the before the current patch and the
Yep.
previous one, you could toggle the expansions on and off.
Okay.
They decided they didn't like that.
Of course.
I don't remember the reasoning.
Everyone was toggling it off.
Yeah, probably. When they nerfed the items and it's like, now your builds are less
you just turn it
consistent.
off.
Yeah, you turn it off.
But now you can't. So they're going to have to do something.
Yeah. Interesting.
I just want them to do like weeklies. Like weeklies would be so much fun.
What did
Just limit the pool.
Yep.
It's been a long time since I played Hearthstone, but what did they do? Because they were just continually adding cards.
They followed the Magic the Gathering format.
Did they
Magic the
remove
Gathering
cards? Did they remove cards?
They don't remove them, but they essentially have a standard format,
Yeah.
which is essentially like the last 2 years worth of cards.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And then at the start of every year, or at a certain patch within every year, a set from 2 or 3 years ago would become what they called wild.
Yeah.
Which is it is no longer part of standard. You can enter a wild format, which is all cards from forever.
Oh, I see.
Magic the Gathering
Yeah.
subdivided it way more. So they have standard, they have modern, they have legacy, they have vintage, and then they have
Oh, yeah, I
they have
get you.
rarity based things where like pauper. They have like different deck structures called commander and singletons. Like there's just different game formats using the same piece.
I mean, yeah, they basically have to have something like that, right? Because they've been going for what, like 30
they
years
have
or something.
at this point, I think they have some. They're close to 30,000 cards.
Jeez.
So it's like
Their wild tournaments are actually wild.
just from a game design perspective, you cannot balance a game like that.
Yeah.
Anything you add, there's going to be countless other interactions. So they limit the pool to something that a team can feasibly test most of.
Yeah.
Most of the permutations. And even then, you still have problems.
Do they ever do things like, how we have leagues that sometimes just don't make it into standard? Where they're just like, oh, you know what, this
The last
expansion,
set.
this didn't really think so. We're not going to have that. That's always just go straight into wild.
They have sets that for at least for Magic. Are you talking Magic or are you talking
Magic?
Magic, they have novelty sets.
Yeah.
So like Unbound, for example, or whatever. It's like they are goofy and they're like satire versions
Oh, I
of Magic.
see. Yeah.
They, for all intents and purposes, you can play the game and they're sold as packs of cards.
Yeah.
But they are not part of standard.
I see. Yeah.
And I think they've done similar. They've got like Worlds Beyond or Dimensions Beyond. Like they've started doing licensed products.
I have seen that. Yeah,
There's
like
a Walking Dead one.
Yes.
Oh, it's the Lord of the Rings thing.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
They've done Baldur's Gate.
Oh, that's cool.
Or Dungeons and Dragons. Maybe it wasn't specifically Baldur's Gate. Maybe it was just more broadly Dungeons and Dragons. But like they've got licensed products, and I don't know if those are part of standard.
Right.
I don't remember. I didn't really look
yeah.
into it. I haven't really been following it that closely. But that is the solution for collectible card games. Is you basically you time lock off certain sets.
I get it. Yeah, that's a good idea.
And I don't. Maybe they'll do something like that for this.
But does that mean? I mean, you've paid for a hero, right?
Yes, but they won't lock off access to the hero. What they would have to do is lock off access to sets of items.
Yeah.
But the part of the problem is for a trading card game, you are going in with a deck you have chosen from your pool of cards from the time-bound period.
Yeah.
In this, you are building your deck from whatever random stuff comes up. And that means if they are trying to time lock off stuff, you might...
Well, your build will just not...
Or
because you're locked into a certain playstyle because of your character.
Yes.
And if you're, you've
There's
got
probably
a
a core set or whatever that will be consistent. But I guess my issue is no one really knows what this game looks like when the set of cards available to you is twice what it is now.
Yeah.
Given the number of opportunities to choose what you get, the number of opportunities you have.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see.
It will be really interesting. And I would suspect it'll be a case of at the start of the game you get to choose a few sets, or they are randomly determined for you, or something.
That also then leads into a thing of like, a little bit like what we were talking about before the podcast of like, you're a new player. Here's a load of choices of what sets you're going to play as. And you're like, I don't know.
Yep.
I'll click all of them.
Or you probably won't have them because you've got to like All of the expansions have been unlocked via things, right? Oh no,
No,
they added them back.
That's right. Every month you get the previous month's
Yeah,
set
I forgot
automatically.
about that.
So like I logged in and I was like, what are all these? I've got a freezing crab. I've got like,
The Zorfish.
Zorfish.
Yeah.
I've got a mantis shrimp that shoots fire. Like I've got all these things that I've never seen before. What is going on? Turns out that they just added the previous set of items. So I don't know. We'll see. See what happens.
That is. I don't like that in like MMOs where you haven't played for a while and then you log in and it's just like, here's all these pop-ups of all these things that they've given you free stuff, and it overwhelms you.
Oh yeah. I hate the red dot chasing in mobile games is obnoxious, but this is a little bit different in that all those choices happen one at a time as you're playing the game. It's like you start the game and the first thing you do is like, which of these 3 items do you want to start with?
I see. Yeah.
And one of them, or they might all be things you've never seen before.
Yeah.
But you're isolated to these 3 choices.
Okay.
One of the 3 things.
So it makes it a little bit easier.
Oh yeah, the mental load is very small. The issue is then, like, it's getting a set of items that works cohesively out of a pool of 100 is one thing. Out of a pool of 200, 300, 400 is another.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
I also don't want to have to like manage it though. I definitely don't want to have to choose.
No, it would have to happen within the game.
Yeah.
Like you load up and it's like, before you go to Vanessa's cabin, do you want the ice ones or the fire one? Like, the set, like this set or this set or this set? And you go, I want this set. And they go, great, we'll add it to the pool. And maybe they could do a thing where like 3 days in, it's like, here's another set or something,
Interesting.
Who knows? Like the game structure already fits modular choices at intervals.
Yeah.
And I could see them doing that as a way to manage the item bloat. But who knows what they're going to choose? Because they've made some weird decisions already. And they've also gone back on something.
It seems like it does seem like a very interesting, evolving game.
I also think, this is more a thing about my taste. When I'm playing the game, some of the NPC dialogue is really good and funny.
Yeah.
And then the player character dialogue is the worst. And you spend so much time with the player characters.
Oh, man.
I have never had this game unmuted.
Okay.
Like not even once.
Wow.
I think it's worth unmuting because the vendors are funny. They talk about each other. Some of the events are funny. Like some of the dialogue is quite good and charming. But then like the player character dialogue is all like, yeah, I'm super tough and what's happening? And it's like, okay, well, I wish you were more likable. All right. We're probably out of time. We've probably been out of time for a while. Yeah. Well, this has been a quick 2 weeks as always. Hopefully we'll be back in another 2 weeks. Easy peasy, right?
Oh, we're always back in 2 weeks.
Yeah, always.
No matter what.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how long it's been. It's always been 2 weeks.
It doesn't matter how long it's been.
Well, it's because it's always been 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's the
Always
Groundhog's Day podcast.
Yeah.
Well, you can email us frontseatquestions@gmail.com. We've still got a couple questions that we didn't get to, but we'll get to it next time, hopefully.
Yep.
We just weirdly had a lot to talk about for such a short time span.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been, what did you say? You played 3 weeks worth of a game
Bazaar,
in 2 weeks?
specifically in 2 weeks.
Been like that, yeah.
But we'll be back then. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, all the podcast apps. You can follow us on Facebook Threads, Twitter/X.
We're on Blue Sky now.
Blue Sky. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Look at that.
I don't know how you get followers on these new things.
I think you just say it out loud into a microphone.
Doesn't seem to be working.
Leave a comment, send us emails. We
Yep.
love hearing from you. We often respond. Thanks for listening. Bye, I guess. Yeah, I think bye.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
All those cards.
The other fucking ridiculous thing about this game is that patch that went out, the most recent one, was the release of their game.
Yeah, no one knew.
They didn't. tell anyone or anything ahead of it.
Yeah.
They're just in open beta for a month.
Yeah.
A month
And
of
the
open
next
beta.
patch they did, they said, "Oh, we're 1.0 now.
Wow, no fanfare.
No
like
fanfare, no advertising."
Yeah.
Also,
the streamers.
the difference between open beta and launch in terms of the number of bugs, I think there are now more bugs.
That's so good.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Oh.
silly. They just
Wow.
it's like a solid game, and